welcome to this edition of Just Parlays. I'm Jim Williams, along with the master himself, Chris King. And today we're going to kind of blow through things because we have a broadband issue, and we want to make sure that we're with you the entire time and that you get as much information as possible. So, Christopher, as today is National Signing Day, give us that headline that Dion made just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, that's right. Deion Sanders flipping the number 2 recruit in the country, Travis Hunter, a cornerback. He had been committed to Florida State since last March. Deion stole him, and he's going to sign at Jackson State. He's the first 5-star high school prospect to sign with an FCS team since 2006. It's a big addition for Sanders as he tries to get Jackson State up to speed. And it's a big blow for Florida State. Like you said, Mike Norvell had been banking on this guy to be the anchor of his recruiting class, and all of a sudden, he's gone.
Anchor's away. So there you go. Well, we'll find out tomorrow. We'll have a chance to chat about it, who did really well. But I have a feeling that topping that list will probably be Alabama and Texas A&M because going into it, it looked like those were the two big winners, at least before any flips happen. So speaking of flipping, we're going to flip through things a little quicker today. We're going to do a little of 2 from each, a lot of 2-fers today. 2 in the college basketball realm, 2 in the hockey, and then 2 in the NBA, and 2 for the show, and everything else stays the same. Hang with folks, and we're going to have some fun. So
and
we begin, my friend.
Hopefully by tomorrow they'll have Jim's internet fixed.
That's right. Otherwise, Jim will be doing it from a Starbucks somewhere down the street. So we will definitely be there. By the way, if you're watching us, and I know that a bunch of you are, I can see them right there. Do us a favor, smash that like button and also subscribe. Okay. All right, here we go. Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Yep, we're going to deal with a Battle of Ohio as the Akron Zips of the Mid-American. They go on the road to face Wright State of the Horizon League over at the Nutter Center in Dayton. Akron 6-3 this year. They've won 4 in a row. Meanwhile, Wright State is just 2-6, coming off a 10-point loss to Cleveland State in their last game. Wright State is terrible on the defensive end. They're 345th in scoring defense, giving up 80 points a game. They struggle on the glass. Akron's 11-1 against the spread in their last 12 on Wednesday, 6-2 in their last 8 as a road underdog, and 21-8 in their last 29 as an underdog overall. Meanwhile, Wright State 1-11 against the spread in their last 12. They're 1-8 in their last 9 after an ATS loss. They're 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 as a favorite, and they're 0-5 in their last 5 against teams with a winning record. Yet somehow they're favored in this game despite being 2-6. It doesn't make sense. This is not the Wright State team that had Loudon Love and Billy Wampler and those guys that ran rampant in the Horizon the last couple seasons. They're obviously not very good. Akron's won 4 straight. The wrong team is the underdog here. Take the points and run as the Zips send Wright State to another loss because the Raiders can't stop anybody defensively, kind of like the Las Vegas Raiders.
There you go. It's it's not the Zips of Bob Huggins, but it is definitely a better Zip team than Wright State. So,
well, I mean, John Gross, he's a good coach. He's had success there before. Then he came back. You can't really fault him for what the job he's done there. And Wright State, they're just not the same team. They've grabbed some different players there, but it hasn't panned out yet.
And Nathan says that the -11 looks appealing. So.
I'm not sure which game he's referring to because I haven't seen
that. Wasn't -11. Yeah, it wasn't -11 on the Cleveland State game. I mean, not the Cleveland State game, but the Akron's Wright State game. So, from the Buckeye State, we move to.
Well, we're going to go to the city of brotherly love. Everybody loves going to Philadelphia, and it's an AAC clash as UCF takes the floor against Temple. Now, Aaron McKee, we talked about it the other day. He had to step into some big shoes because the last 2 coaches at Temple, obviously the legendary John Chaney and then Fran Dunphy. UCF, they're 6-2 for Coach Johnny Dawkins. Temple 6-4. UCF's won 2 straight Temple had won 5 in a row, but they lost to St. Joseph's the other day. They are moving on without Khalif Battle, who is out for the year with a foot injury. One big thing for UCF, they struggle inside the arc. They're 291st in two-point field goal percentage defense, which works in favor of Temple because Temple can't shoot from the perimeter, but they can shoot inside. So look at that. They're the Ben Simmons of college basketball. The Owls are good on the offensive glass. They're 4-1 in their last 5 after an ATS loss. They are 12-4 in their last 16 after scoring less than 50 points in their last game. UCF 1-4 in their last 5 against teams with a winning record. The only reason the line is this big is because Temple laid an egg against St. Joe's the other day. But you have to look before that. They're coming off an overtime win on the road at Vanderbilt for their 5th win in a row. Take the points. Take Temple at home. They get the win here in conference play. It's a nice boost for McKee as they go 6-1 in their last 7.
And they play at the Palestra, so it'll be a full house, I'm sure. That only seats about 5,000 people, so it doesn't take much to get to a full house.
Now,
and,
what's the? I know they've got that famous sign that they've got at the Palestra. I can't remember what it says off the top of my head, but I know that John Feinstein always talks about it. He says whenever he goes to the Palestra, he goes to read it.
I must say I don't know what it is. I will put our crack research department on it and get back to you on what it actually says. But yeah, the playing at the Palestra, it's an old school gym, and it's a lot of fun. And Nathan says it looks like a nice Temple spot. Chris.
Yeah, there you go. The plaque in the Palestra says, "To win the game is great, to play the game is greater, but to love the game is the greatest of all."
Okay, well, that's sage wisdom. I don't think Ben Franklin wrote it, but it's probably worth considering. I definitely know Feinstein didn't write it, so we know that too.
Like you said, the Palestra is the oldest major college arena still in use today. It opened in 1927.
Right, and it's been updated, I think, once. So it's definitely they've got better lighting. So there you go. There's that.
They probably have more concession stands now.
That's right. They're up to 4 instead of 3 now. So we go from the hardwood to the frozen pond. NHL time.
Yep, and we're going to go with
there we
Washington Capitals. They're on the road in the Windy City to face the Blackhawks. Now remember, the Blackhawks were supposed to play Monday night when we told you they would lose.
Right.
But they got out of that game because Calgary has COVID issues, which have barely gotten worse as the Flames added 17 more people today to the mix. Washington 6-3-1 in their last 10. They beat Buffalo 3-2 in a shootout Saturday in a game that you said you watched, Jim. I'm sure there were literally dozens of people in attendance at the KeyBank Center. You probably could have gotten tickets for nothing. Meanwhile, Washington 8-3-2 on the road. Chicago 5-6-1 at home. Chicago does not score well. They're 29th in the league at 2.19 goals per game. It actually goes down to 2.17 at home. Washington's 5th in the league in goals per game at 3.49. They're 4th in goals against at 2.5. The Blackhawks are 9-21 in their last 30 games as an underdog. They're 15-48 in their last 63 against teams with a winning percentage above 600. They are 1-5 in their last 6 on one-day arrest. That one's not actually relevant because I've realized now that they didn't play Monday, but they lost in a simulated game, so that we'll discount that.
Right.
They're 3-8 against Metropolitan Division teams. The Capitals should have no problem picking up the win here. The Blackhawks are struggling. It doesn't matter where they play. Their goaltending has been mediocre. Nathan, the VCU -11 line is a little bit high considering the fact that the Rams don't score very well. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of the Owls, but Dusty May is a good coach.
Mm-hmm. The other thing, too, the other night in that game against Buffalo for the Capitals, they hit the pipes 7 times. So they banged it off the iron. They just couldn't get it in regulation. So it went to overtime. So it's crazy situation, crazy game. So what game would you like to talk about next, Chris?
Well, we will go to everybody's favorite punching bag in the desert. That's right. Arizona Coyotes. They're going to host the New York Rangers. Yeah, they're going to host the Rangers tonight. Now, the Rangers did lose 4-2 to Colorado last night, and so they'll close it back-to-back here, but they're facing an Arizona team that has lost 5 in a row. They've been outscored 24-8 in that span. The Coyotes still last in the league in goals per game, 1.78. They're last in goals against at 3.67. The Rangers 6-0 in their last 6 when it's the third game of a 3-game and 4-night situation. They're 8-1 in their last 9 against an opponent that's given up 5 goals or more in their last game, and they're 4-1 in their last 5 on the road. Meanwhile, Arizona 3-15 in their last 18 games at home. At least they know they can still play there now that they paid the taxes. They might not want to. They're 3-13 in their last 16 as a home underdog. And even uglier, the Coyotes 0-11 in their last 11 games after giving up 5 goals or more. Of course, they lost 5-3 to Philadelphia the other night. The Rangers have won 12 of the last 16 meetings overall. They've won 4 of the last 5 in Arizona. There's no reason to have any faith in the Coyotes. They don't score. They don't stop other teams from scoring. They don't win at home. They don't win on the road. Other than that, they're fine.
Oh, man. Well, we've had a lot of fun with the Coyotes, and it looks like tonight the Rangers will also probably have a lot of fun with the Coyotes. No question.
I mean, I feel bad for them, but, incompetent management and poor ownership is going to doom a team anytime. And that's basically where the Coyotes are.
Yeah. I think they should have moved him to Hamilton. I think that would have made sense. But
hey, well, if you moved him to Hamilton, though, then you would have had to pay probably territorial rights to the Maple Leafs and the Sabres.
Toronto. Yeah, that would have been pretty steep. But anywhere but Arizona reminds me of a great line from Jack Kent Cooke, who owned at the time the Lakers and the Kings, and he brought the Kings to Southern California. And he said, who knew that the 3 million transplanted Canadians who now live in California were the 3 million that didn't care about hockey? So it was one of those situations. But anyway, we move on. And who's up next on the NHL?
Well, then we've got, it's the only other game on the docket. It's the Seattle Kraken on the road to face the Ducks. Now, Seattle, they're also playing a second game of back-to-back. They beat San Jose last night, 3-1 on the road. That bumped their road record all the way up to 4-7-2. Congratulations. Meanwhile, Anaheim 9-4-2 on home ice this year, and they beat the Kraken in the only matchup they've had, taking a 7-4 road win back on Veterans Day. The Kraken 29th in goals against by giving up 3.5 per game, while the Ducks are 9th in that category this season. Anaheim 6-0 in their last 6 as a favorite. They are 4-0 in their last 4 as a home favorite. They're 6-0 against in their last 6 against teams with winning percentage below 400. Kraken 3-8 in their last 11 on the road. They are 2-8 in their last 10 against Western Conference teams. They're 1-4 in their last 5 overall. The Kraken, they played Chris Dredger last night in net, which means they're going to go back to Philippe Grubauer tonight. They probably would have been better off saving Dredger for this game because he's played a lot better than Grubauer has in net this season. John Gibson in the pipes for Anaheim. Look for the Ducks to pick up the win here at home and earn their 10th home victory of the season. And they're second over the Kraken.
Well, there you go. Ducks on the pond. So they will be playing in Anaheim. And, it's been a crazy year for both Anaheim and Seattle. Of course, Seattle getting their first, crack at the at the NHL schedule. It's been a good thing for them. And, we talked about our buddy Bruce. He got his 4th straight win last night. So
no, that's 5 now.
He's 5. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, they had to rally in that game because they had me worried because they were down 3-0 after the first period. Right. After I picked them to win.
Right. And but they came back. And,
they did. They scored 3 in the third.
They nailed it for you. And so, your line, which makes a lot of sense at this time, Barry, quit while you're ahead. Bruce, quit while you're ahead. I was thinking of Barry Trotz at the moment. So, yeah, Bruce, there you go, buddy. So we're off to the hardwood now, only this time it's the NBA. And some good games in the association tonight. Why don't you start us off there?
Well, real quick, I just want to answer Nathan's question. Nathan, Xavier over Morehead State Giving
Mm-hmm.
giving 15 points is a safe bet playing at home. Morehead State hasn't been all that great this season. As for Arizona and Northern Colorado, there's not a whole lot to say about the Bears. They're not anyone's favorite pick by any stretch of the imagination. I know they're 6-5. I know they've won 3 in a row. But if you look, their best win on the season is over Montana State in overtime at home. I don't have any faith in them going on the road to Tucson, Arizona. They just beat Illinois. They trounced Wyoming last week in a game where I thought that Wyoming would have hung around. It's hard to argue with a team that's 9-0. Tommy Lloyd's done a great job with the Wildcats. They're probably going to run Northern Colorado into the ground.
Well, it's going to be crazy. It'll be fun to see. And, of course, we all knew that it was going to happen. The record was broken last night at MSG. And,
that's true.
Steph Curry got his points. And
on the bright side, we don't have to hear about it anymore. They're not going to stop it every time he breaks his own record.
No. And then he had his fun little press conference where he said, now you can actually call me the shooter of all time.
And John, you're right. There's COVID issues creeping all over. It's not just the NBA. Look at the NHL. Look at the Flames. Look at yesterday's Minnesota-Carolina game getting postponed. Then you've got right now the Browns and the Browns and the football team also having all kinds of issues, as are the Rams. They've had at least 9 players into the protocols this week. We saw that happen last night.
My understanding is my understanding, I didn't mean to cut you off, but my understanding is in the NFL, there's 35 players right now over 5 teams that are not going to play this week. And that definitely on a week when it's very important for the playoff situation, not being able to play, and specifically Cleveland, without Baker Mayfield and without a number of their star players, they got to go to Vegas and play that game, and that's going to be tough. It'll be
because that's a Saturday game, no less too. So
it is.
Now you're, with Kevin Stefanski also on the protocols, you have to wonder, will anybody make it to the field on Saturday for the Browns? And like John said, Giannis Antetokounmpo also in the protocols for Milwaukee tonight, so he's out.
Mm-hmm.
We saw with the Nets yesterday, they had 8 guys, still won, but
Yep. And 8 is the minimum you're allowed to play with. So nobody says how many you're allowed to finish with, but 8 is what you have to start with. So there's that. All right, moving on in the association, where would you like to go now, Chris?
Well, let's start with none other than, let's see, who do we have on the books? How about Memphis? Memphis going on the road to face Portland. We told you to fade Portland last night against Phoenix. Phoenix ended up winning in overtime, and they covered the 1.5 points. So Portland playing the second game of back-to-back here. Like we said, they lost 111-107. Portland's lost 6 in a row. They've lost 10 of 11. They won't have C.J. McCollum and Cody Zeller again. Memphis has won 3 in a row and 8 out of 9. They whipped Philadelphia the other night, 126-91 as a 1.5-point underdog. They're 4-0 in their last 4 after scoring 125 points. They're 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 on the road. Portland 1-10 in their last 11 as an underdog. They are 1-6 in their last 7 after scoring 100 points or more. 1-5 in their last 6 overall, and they're 0-5 in their last 5 at home. The Trailblazers are a train wreck right now. And playing the second game of back-to-back against a hot Memphis team, you can't trust them here either. Take the Grizzlies, give the 2.5. They should end up getting trounced because Memphis should run them into the ground in the fourth quarter. Memphis has played well even without John Morant. They're still winning games. They push to the top of the Southwest as Dallas has kind of faded back. And the rest of that division is mediocre at best with the Spurs, Rockets, and Pelicans.
Well, now we're going to get ready to go for 2 for the show. And, one quick thing while you're getting ready for 2 for the show. I tuned in the game last night. Memphis was playing. And that court, which is gray and blue, it reminds me of the Idaho situation where you have the Smurf turf out there. It's all blue. It is it's almost unwatchable to watch a basketball game where the ball's bouncing back and forth on a blue-gray court. It's just like, your eyes begin to glaze over after watching it for about 5 minutes. You want to just go, this is vertigo is setting in.
Yeah, I give credit to Penny Hardaway's team. I faded him. I thought that Alabama would beat him after watching them lose 4 in a row. And apparently they had to play up to the level of the competition instead of playing down to it, and they ended up winning convincingly in that game.
Yeah, that was a big surprise. They beat a number 6 team in the country, which is, I don't think anybody really saw it coming, and definitely Alabama didn't. So 2 for the show. Here we go.
Yep, like I said, I like the Rangers over the Coyotes. We've talked about it numerous times how bad Arizona is. I don't expect them to get any better here. And Memphis over Portland, like we just said, Portland is falling apart. They still don't have McCollum. Lillard can't do it all by himself, and neither can Nurkic. So I like those. I like the Zips, like I said, +4 over Wright State. Wright State near the bottom of the nation in scoring defense. They can't stop anybody. And the Ducks over the Kraken. Like we said, the Kraken playing the second game of a back-to-back. The Ducks are at home. They've played well there. Philippe Grubauer still has not impressed anyone when it comes to goaltending. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets supplanted at some point by Dredger to take over the number 1 job. And as you said before, Jim, Dredger acquitted himself pretty well in Florida before last season, before the Panthers left him available to be selected in the expansion draft.
Right.
And speaking of Spencer Knight, good God, he was horrible last night. How do you get lit up for 8 goals by an Ottawa team that struggles to find the net, if it was empty? That was an abomination.
It was one of those games where every time they hit the puck, it seemed to go in. It was like there's a magnet drawing it there. I don't know. It was crazy.
Make it sound like Jim Mora, where every time they got the ball, they scored points. It sucked.
Right.
We stunk.
We didn't live up. So, 2 for 4 to go. And here we go.
Yep. And on the 4 side, I like USC -11. Yep. Over UC Irvine. The Anteaters, they're a good defensive team, but they don't score a lot, which works against them. The Nuggets -4.5 over Minnesota. Denver's beaten Minnesota 12 straight times. That game at the Ball Arena in Denver. Nikola Jokic had a big game the other night before getting ejected. Look for him to have another big night tonight. The Timberwolves had lost 5 straight before beating Portland the other day. Like we said, the Capitals over the Blackhawks. And in my personal favorite, the UC San Diego Tritons -3.5 over Denver. You remember we talked about Denver a couple weeks ago. In case you weren't here, and some of you might not have been, Denver has a 72-71 loss to Ottawa University of Arizona on their ledger. In case you're wondering, that's in Surprise, Arizona. They have another campus in Kansas. Has nothing to do with Canada. Either way, they lost to them at home. You can't trust a team that loses to some school that you've never heard of on your own floor. So there you go.
No truth to the rumor that they lost to that team, that the Ottawa team is actually a online school. And they brought in.
I haven't confirmed that they probably could have lost to a bunch of people playing NBA 2K22. The G League or the NBA 2K League. They probably lost to a bunch of those guys too. But we'll get confirmation on that and report back.
There you go. All right, now this is Chris's favorite part of the show. It's where you got so many different teams that are so good. Well, I'll let him explain. Here we go. Ready to go crazy, folks.
Yep, we've got a bunch of different picks you can work with here. Obviously, you can pick 2, you can pick 4, you can pick 5, whatever works for you. I like Belmont at home over Chattanooga. The Mocs, they've played well, but they're not necessarily a good road team. They're going to have their defense tested by the Bruins, who are an excellent offensive team. Ohio -3.5 over Marshall. Same situation here. The Bobcats 7-2 on the year. They play well at home. Marshall hasn't beaten anybody. Xavier over Morehead State. The Musketeers, they're 25th in the country. They're playing at home. Morehead State has struggled. the Musketeers should take that one pretty convincingly. Georgetown, they're 5-1 at home this season. They're playing a Howard team that, this might have been more exciting last season when, Howard had McCurr or whatever his name was before he decided to jump ship after 5 games. Even though Giannis is out for the Bucks, they're playing at home. I like them getting 2 against the Pacers. Indiana's just too inconsistent for me. The Hawks are giving 7.5 on the road over Orlando, but come on, it's Orlando. Can you really trust a team that's 5-23 on the season? Granted, I watched Atlanta melt down the other night, blowing a 19-point lead to lose to the Rockets, who had 1 road win all year. But can Lightning strike twice to the same team? I'm sure it could, but I'm hoping it doesn't tonight. The Pelicans -3.5 on the road over the Thunder. The Thunder are they're just bad. We'll just leave it at that. Granted, New Orleans isn't great, but they're less bad. The Rangers and Coyotes, I like to stay under 5.5 because, like we said, Arizona doesn't score. So if the Rangers score 4 or 5, they're not going to get any help from the Coyotes on the scoreboard anyway. Look for the Capitals and Blackhawks to go over 5.5, the over 6-0-1 in the last 7 meetings between those teams in Chicago, and the Kraken and Ducks to go over 5.5, just because Seattle can't stop anybody from scoring. To your earlier question, Nathan, I actually like Weber State getting the points at home over Utah State. You have to remember Utah State struggled at points earlier this season. They were beaten on the road or at home by UC Davis, another team we talked about yesterday, where we told you that they would beat Oregon State on the road, and they did. They also lost St. Mary's at BYU. They're coming off a win over New Orleans, but if you look, Justin Bean for Utah State is going to have to deal with the Weber State presences in there, and the Wildcats. Their only loss was a loss to Washington State, and the Cougars have played well this season. I actually like the Wildcats with the points here as a little brother, big brother relationship there. Plus, I mean, come on, Damian Lillard went to Weber State. They can't be all bad, right?
Well, Weber State over the years has had some pretty good program teams out there. So it's one of those teams that are so far out west that people forget about them, but they shouldn't because they're a pretty good basketball team. All right. So any favorites before we get out of here, Chris? Anything that you pops off the board from a parlay standpoint that you think these two are worth really giving some consideration to as pairing them up tonight?
Well, if I was going to pair them up in college, I would say, the Zips +4 over Wright State, because Wright State, I don't know how you can be favored when you're 2-6 over a team that's won 4 straight games. It doesn't make sense. Right. And I would ride UC San Diego over Denver just because we said Denver is terrible. Mm-hmm. And, there's no 2 ways about that. Mm-hmm. If you were going to go a different route, like I said, the Rangers over the Coyotes would make sense. The or the Caps over the Blackhawks would make sense. Mm-hmm. And if you were trying to go the NBA route, obviously you'd want to center something probably around either Memphis or Denver, or run those 2 together, because, like I said, the Nuggets have won 12 straight over Minnesota. Minnesota is 9-26 in their last 35 on 2 days of rest, and Memphis is playing a Portland team that is completely fallen apart, while Memphis has won 8 out of 9.
Well, there you go. I'll tell you what. It's been a fun time. It's been a fast time. My apologies, folks. My broadband apologies to Chris and to the gang. But we got a lot of interesting information in 30 minutes. We hope that you come back tomorrow. We're going to have a lot more to talk about tomorrow than we did today. Enjoy yourselves, and we will see you tomorrow at 1:30 right here as we get ready to have some questions.
There's my Twitter handle. You can reach out, and I'll get back to you. I'll be around most of the afternoon because I'll be doing writing and stuff anyway.
That's right.
If we missed anything, there you go. You can find me.
There you go. All right, gang. Thanks a lot. Chris, thank you, my friend. We will see you tomorrow. And as I said, it'll either be from here or a Starbucks, wherever the Wi-Fi is better. Okay? All right, gang. Have a great one. Take care.